Would you return to your country if you were exiled? And
I haven't been exiled from Florida, but I sure would like to go back there.
what do you know about the Vietnam War?
It was in Vietnam. Is that when they had like the atomic bomb and stuff?
What were the effects of the war?
Oh, we won. The Vietnam War was a long, costly, and deadly conflict between North and South Vietnam. It began in 1954 after Ho Chi Minh formed his Communist Party in North Vietnam, with the support of China, who was also a communist country. North Vietnam tried to take over South Vietnam, where Ngo Dinh Diem was president. President Ngo Dinh Diem was strongly against communism and began fighting back with the aid of the United States. The war lasted from 1954 to 1975, and more than 3 million people were killed. More than half of them were Vietnamese. The war is known as the Resistance War against America. This is why our author, Duong Thu Huong, joined and served in the army. As many other Vietnamese, she believed she was fighting against the outside invader, America. Born in central Vietnam near Tay Minh in 1947, Duong Thu Huong was the daughter of a school teacher and had a father who was a tailor and a guerrilla fighter for the Vietnamese leader Ho Chi Minh. She was refused education because she was not part of the Communist Party, but shortly afterwards she joined the Communist Party, serving as the leader of a communist youth brigade that in part provided entertainment for communist troops during the Vietnam War. Then, she was allowed to join the Vietnamese Ministry of Culture's Arts College. She studied music, painting, and art. In 1967, at the age of 20, she was offered the opportunity to go study abroad in the Soviet Union, but she refused and voluntarily joined the Vietnamese army in its brief war against China in 1979. She was the first woman to serve in combat on the front lines of the conflict. Her mission was to sing louder than the bombs and to give theatrical performances for the North Vietnamese troops, but also to tend to the wounded, bury the dead, and accompany the soldiers along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. After the war, Duong Thu Huong wrote A Novel Without a Name. She wrote this book based off of her personal experiences during the war. Though she used a fictional character, Quan, almost every detail was real. She also uses Quan to portray herself and her perspective of the war. Quan, the narrator, was a soldier who fantasized about the humanitarian paradise Vietnam would achieve after the war. Before joining the war, he was full of idealism and love for the Communist Party. However, after experiencing the war, it made him realize that much of the government talks of building a people's paradise was nothing but a propaganda. For Quan, joining the war no longer meant having glory and honor, but rather a daily matter of survival, from finding food and dodging bullets to trying to escape the grim realities of the war.
Memories of a Pure Spring was another book written during the post-war. Duong Thu Huong wrote this book after she was released from jail for speaking against the North Vietnamese government. This book focuses on the social changes after the war and the tragic events in Huong's life. The narrator. Shortly after the war ended, Huong loses his high-respected job and started to self-medicate. Forced to be a breadwinner, Sung, Huong's wife, started performing for the government officials, attempting to save her husband. Unable to deal with life, Huong left his wife and children to dabble with opiate, a drug with morphine-like effects. Sung decided to search for her husband, so with the help of her friend, she was able to track down her husband to rehabilitate him. And throughout the rest of the story, it talks about the sacrifices she made for him. Overall, this book showed that men are not viewed in positive light, and the female characters are constantly picking up their significant others' slack. Memories of a Pure Spring depicts weaknesses in Vietnamese culture, and for that reason it was banned. Duong Thu Huong was a great leader and a powerful author. She has been through many hardships and is still living strong to this day at age of 68. She has spent time in jail, has seen A Novel Without a Name, Memories of a Pure Spring, and many more of her books banned, and for 11 years was denied of a passport to travel abroad. Not only was she expelled from the Communist Party, but she was also banished from her country. Her only purpose is to expose the Vietnam government because she feels that it is her mission to do so on the behalf of those who have died under this shameful regime.